Știu. Știu.
Știu.
Știu.
Știu. Știu.
Salut, sunteți la ZFL, sunt Cristian Hoțu și astăzi vom discuta despre planurile fondurilor de investiții pentru România, în a doua parte a emisiunii, care sunt noile prognoze pentru dobânzi și pentru curs, dobânzile la lei, după fluctuațiile și ieșirile de capital din ultimele 2 săptămâni. O întrebare: poate evita România intrarea într-o zonă de recesiune economică dacă intrăm într-un program de dietă bugetară? Înainte să vorbim cu primul invitat de astăzi, ziarul financiar de astăzi, îl vedeți aici, îl vedeți pe ecran. Maspex, un grup polonez aflat în top 100 de companii din regiune, vrea să facă a 5-a tranzacție din România, să cumpere pachetul majoritar al Purcari, producătorul de vin, un acord de peste 420 de milioane de lei. Președinții României nu au constituțional atribuții în treburile economice, dar dintotdeauna s-au implicat în economie. Vizează pe personalizarea securității cibernetice. Fiecare companie este diferită, de aceea are nevoie de o protecție personalizată. Producătorul de uși și fereste Termoplast din Roma îmi trimite 70-80% din producție la export. Cornel Cărămizaru, CEO la Coca-Cola HBC România, îmbuteliatorul cunoscutului brand, investit în tot ce ne face brandurile mai puternice și ne aduce eficiență în business. Și Sinteza Oradea renunță la proiectul fabricii de 300 de milioane de lei cu gigantul american Lockheed Martin la 6 luni după anunț. De fapt, americanii renunță la acest proiect. Și Ungaria este liderul neașteptat al burselor din regiune. De ce a crescut bursa de la Budapesta cu peste 20% în 2025, de 5 ori mai mult decât bursa de la București? Mergem acum la primul invitat de astăzi, care sunt planurile Enterprise Investors pentru România. Enterprise Investors fiind unul dintre cele mai mari vechi fonduri de investiții străine care a investit pe piața românească. Alături de mine prin Zoom este Jacek SIWICKI, președintele Enterprise Investors. Jacek, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How is Poland doing?
Poland is doing fine.
We Romania, we escaped this situation. We have a new president. You are in the second round of presidential election.
You guys seem to be ahead of us in a number of aspects, including the time zone, because you're 1 hour ahead of me. So it's good afternoon for you, good morning for me. And yes, presidential elections, you're ahead again. Congratulations. We still have 2 weeks to find out the final solution. But I hope we'll be fine.
So, how is Enterprise doing after 30 years?
After 35 years, sir.
35 years.
Yes. We're still, you know, I mean, 35 years, this is what? A modest age for a human being. Still a 20, say, years of experience behind. And I don't know how many years left going forward. So I think we should be in a fairly good shape.
So, Enterprise Investor entered in Romania, I think, in 1998, if I remember correctly.
The first investment was, well, I entered because I was responsible for sort of introducing Romania to our portfolio. My first visit was in 1998. Our first investment was made in 1999 into what was called back then Mobil-Rom, and now it's called Orange. Yes.
Okay, I think my boss sell you the shares in Mobil-Rom, because my boss was one of the investor in Mobil-Rom, the Romanian part in Mobil-Rom, and I think, if I remember correctly, my boss sell one of his stake.
So, it was Mr. Serbo?
Yes.
Ah, that's right. So yeah, that's correct.
So you know Mr. Serbo since 1998.
Well, I met him back in 1998, 99, and then for a number of years we sat together on the board of directors of Mobil-Rom Orange. So we met.
What was the multiple in Mobil-Rom, if you remember?
Well, the
5 times,
multiple
10
back
times?
then, I mean, first of all, I just checked a couple of facts. First of all, imagine in 1999, the penetration of mobile telephony in Romania was 3%. 3%.
Yes.
Which sounds unimaginable those days. I had to verify this number myself, but that's the way it was. So that was fairly, and you know, the company got a license in 1996, so we invested 3 years later. And back then it was still sort of a, you know, technology-driven, maybe not a startup, but an early stage investment. It's also interesting because from our perspective, we made an investment in Mobilrom, learning from our mistakes, because a few years earlier, we had an opportunity to invest in mobile telephony in Poland. But back then, mobile telephones were the size of a brick, and the coverage in Poland was very, very poor. So we thought, you know, a few of these enthusiasts who will be using mobile telephony in Poland, that they will not justify the investment. That appeared to be a mistake. And then learning from these mistakes, once an opportunity to acquire shares in Mobilrom appeared, we decided to follow up and we made this investment. And the multiple was definitely a low single digit.
Okay, so back in our time, 2025, how is enterprise doing? I mean, in Romanian.
Well, we haven't done much in Romania for the last couple of years, regrettably.
Why? Why? It's a question because we are one of the earlier investment funds in Romania, and you made some good investment, I think, here in Romania in Profi in the earlier stage. Why did you not find another company, interesting company? The valuation was so high. Why?
As they say, you need two to tango. So one thing is us trying to find an interesting opportunity and trying to find a partner. And there's a question of the second party, whether somebody is interested in either selling the shares or partnering up with us. Like I said, it's not for the lack of trying. We've been visiting Romania quite regularly, and we continue doing that. Actually, I'm coming over to Bucharest on Monday next week. And one of my partners who is responsible for looking for opportunities in Romania is coming over for a couple of days as well. So we still have contacts. We're still looking for opportunities. So far, regrettably, we haven't found a suitable partner, and we haven't found a business that would be able to invest. It's not that we don't like Romania, we change our mind, but it just didn't happen. You know, it's fair to say private equity business to a large extent is sort of a binary business. It's either a yes or a no. If somebody says yes, then you close the deal. If somebody says no, then you say, let's keep in touch. And for the time being in Romania, we are at the let's keep in touch stage.
Okay, how you see Romania right now? You follow Romania since 90. So how you see? Poland, it's a star in the region. More than 800 GDP. I think this year or next year you'll 1,000 euro GDP. Romanian try to 400. So how is Romanian from economic point of view?
Well, it's an interesting perception because I remember back in '99, this was my biggest surprise when I came over to Romania. I was accustomed to all these foreign advisors in the 90s telling us in Poland what we did wrong and what we should do to improve and so on and so forth. And then I came to Romania, and Romania, everybody was like, wow, Poland, and you guys have a functioning stock exchange and this and that is something else. So for me, it was quite a shock because for the first time, somebody treated us or Polish economy as a role model. I understand from the macro perspective, things have changed a little because you guys are catching up pretty quickly. And I think GDP per capita, purchasing power parity adjusted, Romania's are slightly ahead of us now compared to Poland, which is an interesting phenomenon, an interesting development. And then, you know, Romania is the second largest country in the region. We want to be present in the region as a fund. That's why we have to be looking for opportunities here. At the same time, keep in mind, for the last 10, 15 years, we've basically been telling investors in our funds that Poland will be the bulk of our activity because we're here, because the country is the largest in the region, because the pool of private entrepreneurs is the highest. And then we will be looking for very attractive opportunities outside of Poland, which will be sort of hard to miss. And that's why we would like to add them to the portfolio, such as Orange Romania way back when, or Profi not that long ago. So from that point of view, our approach to Romania or to other countries in the region, apart from Poland, is partially opportunistic. We're looking for very attractive opportunities, and very often they do happen. Our best investment was actually made outside of Poland. It was Profi is probably like top 5 for sure, but our best investment was made in an antivirus software manufacturer in Czech Republic. We made 12 times money. So that definitely justifies presence outside of Poland and deal making outside of Poland. But at the same time, we are selective and will continue being selective.
Okay.
So it's much more driven by specific projects and specific companies and specific entrepreneurs we would like to team up with, rather than the macro considerations and the money flows and stuff of that sort.
Do you have a specific sector in mind where to invest and you are looking for? Because look, in retail, you had Profi, one of the top 5 best profitable investment, as you mentioned. You made 12 multiple in Czech Republic. Do you think you can make same multiple in this time when the economy it's not the same?
Sure. First of all, I wanted to add the fact that we're not making direct investments in Romania doesn't mean that we're not present. Our existing portfolio companies are pursuing, either have made already investments in Romania by acquiring companies. It's financial services, for example, or other businesses, and or we're just expanding the business. We have a e-commerce business in sporting goods that has a presence in Romania. So it's not like we're completely not there. And for example, the financial services business, insurance broker, Unilink, that made acquisitions in Romania, we sold the business last year as a consolidator in Central Europe, and we made almost 5 times money on this investment. So good multiples are definitely possible, and an acquisition in Romania, either being an element of a company or of a holding in CE, or as a standalone investment, is definitely possible to generate attractive returns.
After so many years in Romania, what is the strength of the Romanian business, and also in the same time the weaknesses of the Romanian business?
I would say that the strength is obviously the large pool, the large country, large economy, large number of consumers. Usually we're present in business, or we're making investments in businesses where consumers make the final decision about a purchase, either retail or healthcare or financial services. It's the final consumer who says, I want to do that to make my life better. So a large number of consumers in Romania is, compared to other Central European countries, is definitely an attraction. Also entrepreneurial spirit, and we have met very many very interesting, very impressive entrepreneurs in Romania, private entrepreneurs, who have made their investments or have developed their companies very successfully. Quite a few of them we negotiated with. We missed some of these opportunities, regrettably. And these are definitely the pros. The cons, in principle, I would say, and that regrettably applies to the entire region, if we're trying to sell a business in Romania, neither Romania nor Central Europe, in Poland included, is a must-have from the global perspective. So big international corporations, yes, they discuss Central Europe every now and then during their board meetings, but it's not like somebody is pushing, we have to be in this country or we have to be in this region because our whatever European and global strategy depends on it. So once making investment decisions, we also have to be cautious, or we have to make assumptions about which will be the possible exit path. And I would like, for example, the Romanian stock market to be developed much better, because I think it will be still difficult and challenging to exit a successful investment in Romania purely by listing on the stock market.
If you look at your investment in Romania, profit was top, yes, multiple, and the size, because you invest, if I remember correctly, 70 million euro, and you sold over $500 million.
Right.
Okay. And in the bottom, what was the, let's say, the worst investment?
So the worst investment, we probably wrote it off almost completely, because we bought a firm from an entrepreneur who basically cheated on us, and we had to, well, we effectively handed it over to a Romanian entrepreneur who bought it from us a couple of years later, but the write-off was quite substantial, almost complete.
I think it was Noriel, yes?
No. Noriel was not great, but not too bad. But we had an investment in a company called Smart3, a payment processing business, or payroll processing business, and this is where we made a mistake transacting with the wrong guy, and then we fought fairly hard to make things happen, and that's why we had to sell it with a substantial discount to the original entry price.
Okay. Right now, what is the size you are looking for?
Well, that's one of the challenges that we face, because our minimum investment equity is 20 million euro. We can get, and our maximum from the current fund, which we just closed, is 50 million euro from us, additional 30 to 50 million euro from co-investors, and possibly some transaction debt. So even with the minimum commitment of 20 million euro, we're looking for reasonably large companies that would be able to either absorb this size of an investment, or the valuation would justify such size of investment. Not too long ago, we looked at an opportunity in Romania. The company was way too small from our appetite point of view.
Okay. Yesterday, Maspex, you know Maspex because it's
yes.
Made an offer for Purcari.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, did you look at Purcari?
Yes, we did.
And what was the... So it was a, I don't think mistake, but you didn't go there.
Well, my usual advice to everybody who makes investments is don't judge investments 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years later. Americans have this saying, Monday morning quarterback. Every quarterback knows how to win the previous Sunday game. So yes, we looked at Purcari way back when. We were not enthused because there are some limitations that we have in our charter. We cannot invest in alcohol manufacturers, for example. But that was not the only reason why we didn't pursue Purcari. It was too small when we looked at it, and we also had some concerns about possible exit route. But yeah, so I wouldn't treat it as a mistake. Little that I remember from the past, I think that we were right at this given moment in time when we decided to pass on this opportunity. I'm not surprised that Maspex has acquired it. They're building their portfolio in this segment, and in the meantime, Purcari obviously grew quite substantially.
One of the main problems in Romanian business is that we have big companies, most of them multinational, and a lot of small companies. In the middle, we don't have enough company. As Poland, do you think in this situation you can find companies where to invest, Romanian entrepreneur company where to invest?
Well, keep in mind that Poland has two advantages, I think, compared to Romania. First of all, historical one. Polish private ownership of companies was always possible in Poland, even during the communism. So, for example, we invested in a jewelry business in Poland, which was established in 1840 and was in business ever since. This would be impossible for Romania. So in the 90s and 2000s, right now, we're still dealing with a large number of private Polish companies which were established in 1970s, 80s, 90s, and which enables what we call succession-driven buyouts. So founders are aging and they try to sell, and this creates an opportunity for private equity. Romania, for historical reasons, didn't have that advantage, so it'll take time. And secondly, keep in mind that in Poland, thanks partially to the European Union funding, we have a quite nicely developed sort of symbiotic ecosystem of businesses which grow very small, from the proverbial family and fools who want to give the money for a startup, then angel investors, then small venture funds, then larger venture funds, then finally some kind of enterprise investors comes over, invests in the business and takes it public a couple of years later. I'm not sure that this symbiotic ecosystem has been very well developed in Romania yet, although I know it's happening. And I know that some of the entrepreneurs we used to talk to about investments are now active in this area. But we think that the Romanian businesses or private businesses will, after some period of time, will grow up to our expectations. And that's why we continue looking at them, and that's why we try to build relationships even at the early stage when the business may be still too small. But our plan is to be here for another at least 35 years. So we've got time to develop these relationships.
Right now, the Romanian market is very crowded with the investment fund. We have money from PNRR, a lot of new investment fund. I think that right now in the market there are, let's say, more than $500 million possible investment. Do you think Romanian market is right now it's a competition to find the right companies, and the evaluation will be high?
There is, I mean, you know, the market is always imperfect because of competition. Way back when in early 90s, we were the only private equity firm originally in Poland, then even in the region, and that was quite nice. Regrettably, competitors came in later and the market started being crowded. So the market being crowded, people having money in their pockets, and the money, the hot money that they want to spend burning their pockets, which drives the valuations up. We've seen that all over the region, and it goes up, it goes down. The main issue for us is, you know, in the crowded market, where you can win is by building relationships with entrepreneurs you would like to work with, or relationships with entrepreneurs you'd like to acquire the businesses from. And those people who will value the relationship rather than the EBITDA multiple are the best possible partners. And that's why you have to patiently look for such an opportunity. And yes, you'll try some, you'll miss some, but the main point is, you know, not to be too nervous.
Right now, there are, let's say, some Romanian companies good, okay? And the entrepreneur said, why I need an investment fund? Because I have the line for the banks, okay? So I don't need the finance, okay? In this context, what will be your approach?
There is a few added values that we can bring to the company. I mean, first of all, in terms of structuring it or corporatizing it properly, we would tell an investor, many of the private entrepreneurial companies that we have seen are sort of one-man shows. There's the visionary guru in charge of the business, and then there are no real structures, no real managers. There's just employees fulfilling the duties of the vision of the founder. We help entrepreneurs build structures. We help entrepreneurs structure these businesses so that they have, presidents, deputy presidents, directors, and so on and so forth. However dangerous it sounds from the central planning economy background, we teach people how to build budgets and use budgets to manage their businesses, and that's one advantage. Second advantage is clearly what is called in English buy and build. If somebody wants to grow through acquisitions, we can definitely help a lot in teaching people how to identify potential acquisitions, both in their own countries and outside in the region, or maybe even in Western Europe, how to structure these transactions and how to put together the so-called post-merger integration. So that's the second field where we think we can be of use. The fourth field is obviously on the exit side. Substantial experience in taking companies public, mainly in Warsaw, but also in a couple of other stock exchanges, but also negotiating with buyers at the end of the road when we talk about the exit, both with industry players or industry buyers and financial investors. And these are the three areas of experience that we're happy to share with an entrepreneur. And if they appreciate any of those three or all of those three, then I think there is a possibility of making a good deal.
One of the main question is after you enter in one company or intend to enter, the question is who will run the company. And as you mentioned, entrepreneur company was made by the entrepreneur, by the leader, okay, the founder, but you prefer to have also managers who run the business. Okay, it's a conflict of interest.
Well, for us, we don't want to run the businesses as a fund. We would prefer to rely either on the founder and his managers and his team. And if the founder is not really capable of building a complete team around him, we would support him. So in very many cases, we persuade the founders to hire, for example, a chief financial officer, because many of entrepreneurs work with chief accountants, and there is a massive difference between a chief accountant and chief financial officer, with all due respect to accountants. Or we persuade them to grow the marketing function, the sales function. But if we're teaming up with a leader who wants to continue growing the business, we'd very much prefer that the leader continues leading the firm. There are, however, situations where we do so-called management buy-in. So we come from outside and the founder sells entirely to us, and then we bring the management team from outside. This is to an extent what we have done in Profi. We bought Profi way back when from a strategic buyer, and we brought in management team from the outside who successfully grew the business going forward, and then we sold it to the next private equity fund with the same management team that we brought in. So there are two different situations, and about 75% of the transactions that we pursue are these buyouts where we pay the founders and the founders leave the business, and about 25% of transactions that we do are transactions where the founders would like to keep a controlling stake in the business, take some money from us to grow the company, and then develop it jointly. And this is when we would gladly hand over the daily operating management to the founders or to entrepreneurs.
Why don't you think that the Romanian Stock Exchange is not a good market to exit from your investment?
Well, first of all, it's easy to debate when you don't really have a specific example.
All the funds are afraid and reject to sell their shares on the Romanian Stock Exchange.
I mean, look at, even assuming we made our minimum investment of 20 million euro, and hopefully we multiply it 3 to 4 times. So the amount of shares that we would like to sell on the stock market would be 80 million euro plus. That's a sizable stake to be placed in Warsaw, and I would argue, let alone in Bucharest. Obviously, you can consider exiting in 2 stages and so on, but it's also a function of local demand versus foreign demand. We successfully listed or floated a company in Warsaw, Dino, which was more or less an equivalent of Profi in Romania. We sold about 400 million euro worth of shares in one move, but this was possible because we were able to balance the local demand and the foreign demand, and this also moved the price up. I am not convinced that there is enough liquidity on the Romanian stock exchange that would facilitate a reasonably large exit for a private equity firm. But all that said, it's not that we're experts on the Romanian stock exchange, because we haven't really looked at it very carefully in the last couple of years, because we didn't really have a target that we would consider for a flotation.
How was Profi, the investment of Profi? I mean, it was profitable, but what was the asset of this investment? The market was so low, the strategic to enter very quick, to open shops. What was the idea in Profi?
Network. So we were opening, I can't remember the numbers right now, but we opened quite a lot of stores in a year, and that was the main assumption for this investment when we started developing it. Second of all, we developed a couple of, I think we had 3 different profiles of shops. Some of them were better for large cities like Bucharest. Some of them were better for medium-sized and smaller cities, because you have to adjust to local tastes and the purchasing power of the consumers. And thanks to these 3 different formats, we were able to roll out successfully. And then obviously, sometime down the road, size started to matter, because your purchasing power and your negotiating power with the suppliers increases as you continue rolling out. So, effectively, the larger you are, the more successful you can be. And these, I know it sounds very simple, but it was quite a lot of effort over the couple of years that we held the investment to make it all happen.
Okay, so Monday will come next week. You'll be in Bucharest to look after the opportunities, I think.
Well, I will. There is a division of labor. I will be in Bucharest on Tuesday, speaking at the conference, because we have a Romanian Private Equity Association conference,
okay.
And I was invited as a panelist. It's an honor, and so I will do the conferencing, and my partner will do the meetings and the talking.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Take care.
A fost Jacek SIWICKI, president Enterprise Investment, în cei mai vechi fonduri de investiții de private equity de pe piața românească. Luăm minutul Business Magazine, ne întoarcem partea a doua. Care sunt noile prognoze pentru dobânzile la lei și cursul valutar după ultimele 2 săptămâni de fluctuații din piață și ieșirile de capital?
Peste 1 milion de euro este valoarea investiției pe care o are în derulare clubul sportiv Strong Tennis pentru dezvoltarea unei săli de sport multifuncționale. Cristian Ciocan Stănescu, fondator Strong Tennis și club sportiv Atlas, spune că deviza sa este nihil sine educatio și crede că aceasta este cheia oricărei construcții solide, fie că vorbim despre sportivi, despre echipe sau despre societate. HiSky este în prezent singura companie aeriană care are un zbor direct de la București la New York. Din 2024, o destinație care nu mai fusese acoperită de circa 20 de ani, când compania națională Tarom a renunțat la o cursă similară. Care este povestea acestei companii? În 2005, când și-a încheiat rezidențiatul în oftalmologie, dr. Andreea Ciubotaru s-a confruntat cu o realitate nemiloasă. Spitalele nu ofereau posturi, iar cele disponibile disponibile erau cu dedicație. O opțiune era să prescrie ochelari într-o optică, alta să îndrăznească să construiască o carieră medicală pe cont propriu, a ales fără ezitare a doua variantă. Cultura organizațională nu mai poate fi construită doar pe salarii competitive. Cei mai buni lideri de azi investesc într-un mediu unde AI oferă know-how-ul, diferența o face cine creează conexiuni reale. Șefii de companii, conducătorii departamentelor de HR și antreprenorii spun că aprecierea autentică și personalizată a devenit combustibilul retenției. În noua era muncii, una a economiei relațiilor, liderii trebuie să devină constructori de punți emoționale. Când angajații se simt văzuți, ei rămân, evoluează și aduc performanță în companiile lor. Când nu, pleacă. Citiți despre toate aceste subiecte, dar și despre multe altele în cel mai nou număr al Business Magazine.